Good morning, readers. Today we are going to talk about narrative nonfiction. If you haven't already, go ahead and fill in your learning intention sheet. The date today is 11/12. Go ahead and write the book that you've been working on reading. And then today as a reader, I am working on reading narrative nonfiction. Readers, at the beginning of this unit, I told you that there are two kinds of nonfiction. One kind is expository nonfiction. Many of us have been reading expository nonfiction books. These are books that are filled with facts and information about things, but they're not necessarily written in the format of a story. Narrative nonfiction is. Narrative nonfiction is written a lot like a fiction story. So, as we learn to read narrative nonfiction, we need to think about everything we know about reading fiction. I want you to think for a second. What kinds of things are in a fiction book? Give me a thumb up when you can think of something. We're going to press pause and turn and talk with our partner. Let's do that now. Readers, I hope that someone said characters because fiction books all have characters in them. We'll take a look at these characters that we know. The characters from Dork Diaries, Greg from Diary of a Wimpy Kid, the characters from The Jacket, and the characters from Winn-Dixie. Just as fiction books have characters, so do narrative nonfiction books. Readers, yesterday you started reading a narrative nonfiction book, and you may not have even realized that that's what it was. A narrative nonfiction book, not an expository nonfiction book. Take a look at the cover of this book. Who would be the character in this book? I'm going to give you a hint. It's not a person. That's right, readers. The main character in this book would be a polar bear. There are also other things that narrative nonfiction books have that fiction books also have. One of those is a setting. So, sometimes a book takes place at school, or at home, or somewhere out in nature, like maybe in the woods or near a lake. In our Polar Bears book, think about where the setting of that book might be. I'm going to remind you of the page we read yesterday, just in case you need the help. Readers, take a peek at the book. I'm not sure if you noticed, but there is the outline of a paw print in the snow right there. There were also some things that gave us hints about the setting. Or actually, some of it just told us. Turn and tell your partner where the Polar Bears book took place. Finally, readers, narrative nonfiction books have a problem and a solution. The problem and the solution are just like in a fiction book. Something happens to someone or something in the book, and then later in the book, that something is solved or fixed. So that would be the solution. As you read the narrative nonfiction books that have been added to your book boxes, I want you to think about that problem and that solution. Readers, today you will continue working on your close reading chart that you began yesterday. If you have not finished at least one of these pages, you need to do that today. You will also continue to read nonfiction books from your book boxes. As I said, there have been narrative nonfiction books added to those book boxes. If you are in Mrs. Eichsted's class or had your mini lesson in Mrs. Eichsted's class before, you may get a Chromebook and read on the Chromebook today. Remember that if it takes you a really long time to log into the Chromebook, that would not be the best thing for you to do today, and that you should just go ahead and get a book and start to read right away. Let's make it a successful reading day.